Let's go.
You have taste in a way that's meaningful to software people.
Hello, I'm Bill Gates.
I would recommend TypeScript. Yeah, it writes a lot of code for me, and usually it's slightly wrong.
I'm reminded, incidentally, of Rust here.
Thus,
Rush.
this almost makes me happy that I didn't become a supermodel.
Tuber and Nex.
Well, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today about large neural networks. It's really an honor to be here.
Rust.
Data Topics.
Welcome to the data.
Welcome to the Data Topics podcast. Hello and welcome to Data Topics Unplugged, your casual corner of the web where we discuss what's new in data every week. From trips to pickles, everything goes. Check us out on YouTube. Feel free to leave a comment, question, reach out to us, etc. Yada yada. Today is the 17th of February of 2025. My name is Murillo. I'll be hosting you today, joined by my faithful sidekick.
Hi.
Bart. Yay.
Hey.
And the one that keeps us in line, behind the scenes, Alex.
Hello.
Hey, Alex. How are you?
Good.
Good. How are you, Bart?
I'm good as well.
Good as well. It's cold, huh?
Still warming up a bit.
Yeah, it got
I came here by bike. But
It got really cold here in Belgium. It's
almost,
sunny, but it's really,
almost
really
froze something off.
cold. Say more. No, but it is February. I'm waiting for the weather to get better, but here we are still.
It's not raining at least.
It is
sun,
not.
It's
It
not
is
raining.
That
it's
is
just,
true. That is
it's
true.
just freezing.
It's just freezing. Actually, I prefer that than if it was just above freezing but raining.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So maybe let's be positive. Let's keep dreaming. And talking about dreaming, we shared our dreams about like an AI that will plan our trips for us.
Oh, we did, yeah.
We did talk about
We
it a few
did, yeah,
times,
yeah.
right? Like because it's a known annoying problem that is just like grunt work almost. You just gotta go here, go there, check this, check that. Okay, now try this other thing. Okay, this flight. No, the booking cars and all these things. But sadly for us, apparently this future is a bit too far ahead, as the Airbnb CEO says it's too early for AI trip planning. Can you tell me more about this part?
Yeah, this is an article on TechCrunch, where the CEO of Airbnb goes in a bit on how they're using Gen AI to improve their service, basically. And I think the headline already says it. Like, he thinks that the current state of AI is not ready yet for like complex tasks, like helping people really plan their whole vacation on Airbnb. He compares it a bit to the early state of the internet in the mid to late 90s, like very promising, but not yet ready to support these kind of things.
Interesting.
But they do have plans for in this summer to go live with better customer support, Gen AI powered, like I think mostly internally, like helping customer service handle different languages, that kind of things, to optimize support, and to initially focus on these type of things before going to automated trip planning.
I see. But then the AI part is not for the planning, is more for like languages and all these things.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think it makes sense. Like, I think there's so many moving parts to that. Like a vacation is something like you want to make sure that everything is done correctly.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, indeed. But I think from what I hear as well, it is gonna happen. It's just a bit early, right? There's a lot of promise.
yeah, and I think what we will probably see earlier is like AI powered queries. Like, I want to go on a vacation to a sunny spot. Needs to be a max 5-hour flight. And want a bit of an outdoor cabin experience.
Yeah.
What can you recommend to me? Like a bit more like that, right? I think like more like subsets of that trip planning.
Yeah.
We will see going live sooner than like
The full
running
thing.
that query and having it done everything for you.
Yeah, indeed. I also think it's Airbnb CEO, that's a credible source. Airbnb does a lot in tech as well. I think even stuff like Airflow, which is super popular, started Airbnb, if I want to say. So it's not like I think it's pretty much in their wheelhouse, the tech stuff, and it's good to see that they're trying these things out.
Yeah, and I think honestly, like these type of companies like Airbnb, but also Expedia, like they will probably benefit a lot from this.
For sure. Definitely agree. Definitely agree. So yeah, cool. So I guess it will still take a while, but nice to see that people are taking action, because my life would help. My life would improve tremendously, I think, as soon as something like this is rolled out. What else? Still, now in the closer future, Anthropic's next major AI model could arrive within weeks. What do we have here, Bart?
Anthropic's current let's say state-of-the-art model is Sonnet 3.5, which is I want to say roughly a year old today.
Maybe we can check.
No, it's February. No, it's let's say 8 to 10 months. I think that's a safe statement. And they're working on a new model.
March 2023. That's what I quick Google search. Claude initial release March 2023.
Okay. And we will. There are some rumors that they will within the next few weeks we will see a new model, where it's the rumors are that it will be a hybrid, where it can switch between deep reasoning and fast responses, and that you'll have a bit of a sliding scale to say to choose a bit, like, do you want fast performance at a lower cost, or we want a very good performance, probably slower at a higher cost?
I see. So like quality versus speed kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and that's because the Anthropics, then I guess in this sense, is really a service. They're not just putting a model. It's really going to be a service that's depending on your selection, depending on the type of query, they will route to different models. Interesting as well, because arguably Claude is still the best model for programming, at least for like developers.
It's I think there's a debated statement, but I use it for such I still default to Sonnet 3.5.
Yeah, I think I hear, so this is what I see on social media, my experience, talking to colleagues as well, that ChatGPT, so the 4.0, 4.0 mini, 0.1, they're good for certain tasks, but not necessarily programming. Anthropic's model is like the most reliable. DeepSeek is very good, but it's also very inconsistent, right? So there you see some cases they're like, well, DeepSeek did all these things by itself, but then a lot of people are like, yeah, but this is not, like, it doesn't always deliver.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So that's a bit the vibe that I get, and I think the Claude is the most people still default to it, because I use Cursor as well, which gives all of these things, and I'm also following like on Reddit and all these things, and I still see a lot of people saying, yeah, I use Claude for
the same experience.
So cool to see. Well, interesting to see how this is gonna evolve.
True.
Right. Maybe now on the other side of the roadmap, the competitor, Sam Altman, he put, well, I didn't read this as thoroughly, let's say, but Sam Altman, he went to X and he basically put out a bit more on the roadmap for ChatGPT. So they said they want to, well, basically they first say that they want to be more transparent about the roadmap, which I think is a bit interesting, because it was after he said it that the OpenAI was on the wrong side of open source, right? So it's like trying to be more open. I don't know if there's something to it. And they basically said that they want something that works well. And I think they was just trying to say, like, we're careful about releasing new models. We want something that actually has better performance. They want to unify the O series models with GPT series models, right? So it's kind of what Anthropic announced. It rhymes a lot, right? But yeah, so GPT-5 basically talks a lot about the GPT-5 stuff. Without actually, I think it's funny because it's like OpenAI roadmap update, but I don't know if I'll call this a roadmap, right? It's more of a thoughts on the future, but yeah, so to be seen what happens there.
So they're talking about GPT 4.5 and GPT 5.
Yeah.
And GPT 4.5 will be their last non-chain of thought model.
Yes.
Oh, wow, that's a big statement, I guess. So they're saying the future is in chain of thought.
Well, they're saying also unify O series and GPT series, right? So maybe it will be a mix
Maybe
of the
the
two.
last specific.
Yeah, the last standalone.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that GPT-5 will be a system that integrates a lot of our technologies, including O3.
Indeed.
So it will not be a dedicated model. It will be a group of things.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. So like it says, we will no longer ship O3 as a standalone model. So basically,
Interesting.
everything would be a hybrid,
Yeah.
right? Talk up then to keep going on the announcement. The free tier will get unlimited access to GPT-5, subject to abuse thresholds. Plus, subscriber able to run GPT-5 at higher level of intelligence. Which again, when we talk about intelligence, maybe you're saying how much O3 or the reasoning models usage, right? High level of intelligence, modern corporate voice, canvas search, deep research, and more. So okay. So to be seen. And
interesting. That's like that they abstract this away, like what type of model is running, or that they pick it for you automatically. Like it's probably good for an end user, but of course it removes a bit of transparency on which models are performing well. And
indeed,
but maybe for an end user that doesn't really care, it's a good thing.
But I think also as a researcher, someone that's trying to advance these things, I think the transparency would help a lot, to see what kind of tasks is this better for, is that better for. I don't know. I'm a bit. I would prefer to have the transparency when it's using what, but I know I'm not maybe the average user, right? Just consumer of these things. One thing that also came out on my feed quite a bit was Sam Altman's response to Elon Musk's OpenAI buyout, which I just wanted to mention here because I thought it was a bit entertaining. So Elon Musk went on Twitter and said, "I would buy OpenAI for 97 billion, I think." And then Sam Altman, he responded like on Twitter, but also interviewed here, and that's what I'm sharing on the screen for people following the video. He said OpenAI is not for sale, but we can buy Twitter for 9 billion, which I think is also fun. They call it Twitter, kind of saying like So, and then there was the whole thing. I was also watching there's a YouTube video they were explaining that the Elon Musk's offer is for the non-profit part of OpenAI, which is actually valuated at 40 billion. So it's actually offering twice as much, but then the assets are the for-profit, and OpenAI is trying to move up to a for-profit organization. So everything gets a bit more entangled with this friction, right? And Sam Altman is not he doesn't own, right? There's the board of OpenAI that needs to decide these things. And I'm here just playing the video, and I thought this was funny, that Sam Altman's response I feel like he's trying to play cool, but he looked like he was a bit bothered by it. He was like, I think Elon Musk is just doing this because he's insecure. And then the guy's like, he's like, yeah, actually, I think most of Elon Musk's life is he's insecure, and I think he's just reacting to that. I feel bad for him. So I feel like, I don't know. I think he's trying to play cool, but I feel like it's just it's like the new Kendrick Lamar beef, That was Elon Musk and Sam Altman. But I do think that this beef has more impact on us.
Yeah.
I think there's also the whole thing that with the U.S. presidency and Elon Musk having the year there, so there's a bit of all these things that thrown in the mix.
Yeah, it's not sure how I should respond to this. I think for OpenAI, Musk has always since the beginning, since they're falling out, has tried to hinder them one way or another.
Yeah.
I think this is just the latest example. I think Altman being frustrated, probably a bit too much, and then making these statements about Musk is
it's a bit.
I think it's not a typical Altman. I think he's typically very well, very well spoken, very reasoned, and I think it's just another way for Musk to get in the way, right?
Yeah.
I think there's not a formal offer. I think that is the response from OpenAI. It's not a formal offer. But what I understand a bit that he's trying to do is that OpenAI now wants to move the for-profit out of the non-profit.
Yeah.
Saying the non-profit is not worth much, so we can restructure in a more or less efficient manner. But now with having received a offer of almost, what was it, 100 billion?
Yeah.
That's much more difficult because apparently that there is a high value in the non-profit. So how can you restructure? I think like this is
Yeah, indeed.
trying to create
Indeed.
complexity and just trying to make it more difficult to move forward with the restructuring. So
Indeed. I'm not sure how much practical impact this will have on us, like this actual move, right? Because I think
probably not much. I think this is just any other day in the OpenAI Musk playbook.
yeah, but I thought it was it made me giggle, like see these powerful people like almost like acting like children, it feels like.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah? I don't know, but I don't understand today's.
Yeah, indeed, a lot more there to dissect.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we stick to the data, I guess. On a more lighter, not lighter, but different type of news. The Eurogamer, this came up.
Oh, that's not lighter, huh?
No, it's not lighter, but it's different. It's
different,
not.
yeah. It's sad.
It's sad. Yeah, indeed. It's not a controversial, maybe. I don't know. What is this about, Bart? Half-Life 2 and Dishonored art lead Viktor Antonov dies at age just 52.
So I saw this popping up in my feed. Normally we don't really talk about games, but I think Viktor Antonov, and to be very honest, I didn't know this, but he was the art director for Half-Life 2 and a bunch of other games, among which Dishonored was one. But I think in a lot of people's lives that grew up playing games, Half-Life 2 was a big thing. I think especially people my age and a bit younger. Did you play Half-Life 2?
I played a bit.
Oh.
Yeah, I played a bit.
I think Half-Life, well, not only 2, but also Half-Life 1, like it set a standard of this is what you can do with first-person shooters and storytelling, and combining that with amazing graphics for the time.
Indeed.
So,
Indeed.
So yeah, I think it was
I mentioned
worth
here.
a shout out.
Yeah, word shout out. What else do you have? We have something else on games, I thought. No, not on games, but maybe something kind of like a game. Moving towards our next topic. And I like to talk about agents, AI and stuff, right? So what they did here, and this came on LinkedIn, right? They basically had 1,000 AI agents in Minecraft, and they just kind of let them interact with the environment. They also had different, different communication channels like Discord and whatnot, so they could talk to. They had like a Word document with a quote unquote constitution. So Slack, Discord, all these things, and they just kind of left the agents run, and they kind of formed their own government kind of thing. Like they kind of come up with like rules and how they need to interact, and how like they had people farming, they needed to sell stuff. And I think they talk about here the person that would most trade was a priest, because they were bribing people to come to his religion. There was also sometimes an agent was missing, and people were mobilized to kind of work together to find that person. They showed like they were concerned. So it was just a bit of an experiment, and this is the Project Sid.
Cool.
To see how you can kind of play with agents to kind of see what they can do in an environment like the shared environment, I guess. So what I'm showing here is so they also, like in the video, they show simulations of what would happen, like playful simulations, let's say. What would happen if Trump was elected versus Kamala, right? So they would have different constitutions, and they would edit. And I guess it comes in the prompting of the agents, right? Like what would they like to do and this and that.
I would wonder how much is in the prompting. Like for example, the example that you give, like someone is missing, we need to go find him. Like, is this prompted somewhere? Like, is this?
But I guess this wouldn't be.
Or is this like part of an objective function where you try to optimize for something and you need this person back?
But do you think it's like, wouldn't it be easy enough if you put on the agent prompt to say you are caring, you live in a society, and like the ideals of caring about people and going to their aid if something goes wrong? It's kind of in that prompt, right? Like you don't have to say that specifically to. I feel like it wouldn't be hard.
But that would mean that someone is going missing, that it is bad for that person. I mean, you need to have like some concept on this.
But if I say like you're helpful, and someone goes missing, it's like I'll help, right? Like I think it's
that you assume that's a bad thing. Like I mean, that needs like those concepts. Like it's a bad thing to go missing. Like,
but don't you think like if you think of just agents, Like it probably is somehow embedded on the text that you crop, right? Like if you see news articles and stuff, like I think it's a bit that concept if someone is missing, that you see sadness, you see all these things. I think you would. It's. I guess what I'm thinking is like it's not hard to embed that on the language model. I'm sure that I'm not sure, but I would imagine that if I ask ChatGPT, it would give me hints that it's a bad if someone goes missing.
Yeah.
If I say, hey, my son is missing for 3 days, I imagine that ChatGPT will say, I'm sorry to hear about that, right?
Yeah, I'm wondering how that's like everything ties together. Like I will check it out. Like what are the inputs to these agents? You have the environment, but maybe you also have Discord where this person says, I'm missing. How do you know these things that people are missing? Like,
I thought it was, well, again, I don't know how useful this is, but I do think it's interesting.
Yeah,
I
it's
do
very
think it's
interesting,
also the fact that you have the same agent with different access to different tools and different ways of interacting.
Also interesting to see like what kind of like, is it just running an LM? Is there some optimization model? Or like would be interesting. I'm gonna read up on it.
Yeah, read up on it because I didn't read up as much, but I thought it was interesting enough to share. So
cool.
There you have it. What else do we have? Maybe we can talk maybe a bit more about AI models and DeepSeek. And here I see that DeepSeek R1 671B, because it's billion, just broke speed records at 198 tokens per second. Is that what it is? Is now the fast reasoning model available? Is this what is this about, Bart? Say more about this.
It's apparently a new speed record. We discussed last time, I think, on the pod that speed does play a role from the moment that you're using it to prompt for code and these type of things. So it becomes a bottleneck if it takes a long time to get a full response back. And I just saw this popping up, I think, on Hacker News, that apparently DeepSeek, one of the DeepSeek R1 models, is running at 198 tokens per second. And to be honest, I don't really have a strong frame of reference here, but apparently it's
fast.
It's beating OpenAI O3 Many.
And in terms of size, can we compare the two, or?
To be honest, I don't know how big what the assumptions are, how big O3 Mini is.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's crazy how much noise DeepSeek made. Still making. Now instead of DeepSeek, what about Deep Research? Perplexity. Deep Research is now free for all users. So Perplexity is the search engine, right? So it's like a Google competitor, I guess. So you type something, it would actually crawl the web for sources, and it will give you an answer based on those sources, but it will also give you the sources available. And then here they come, and if I understand correctly, Bart, they have also a deep research.
Yeah, basically what OpenAI announced, 2 weeks ago. They have a deep research functionality, and now Perplexity also has it. You can use it for free. And what it basically does it uses. I'm trying to find a way to explain it, but you start with your prompt, and it basically reasons about the first output it gets, and then basically does some extra investigations to come with a cohesive report on your research question.
So is it like before they still crawl the web based on this prompt, but now they also kind of have like a agentic step that like they kind of see what you need to get and kind of plan it out and do some queries, like have some follow-up queries.
So to give an example, I launched a query, and it takes a few minutes for it to finish actually. So I launched a query on to do an analysis on a certain domain within the Belgian business landscape, like to analyze a bit like how big is it, etc. And it actually because you see which sources were accessed, and it accessed 77 sources, and you also see a bit like I'm not sure if chain of thought is a good explanation here, but like a bit the research steps it takes to get to the full report.
I see.
Yeah. And everybody can try it, I think. And while deep research for OpenAI, still not available here.
And would you say the quality was better than what you would have got? Like, well, I don't know if you tried both, but like if you
No, I don't think we have access to OpenAI's deep research.
no, in regards to Perplexity alone. So deep research mode and without.
I don't use Perplexity a lot, to be honest.
Okay. But were you happy with the results from this search?
It was very quickly.
Okay. And maybe it's free, but do you need to have an account? I guess.
You need to have an account.
Okay. But I quite enjoy Perplexity, to be honest. I think it pretty much replaced my Google searches, except when I'm looking for something very specific. Like if I know like I want to go to this blog because I want to read this article, then I go to Google. But if I really want to learn something or like figure out how to do something, I just go to Perplexity. I feel like it's pretty good. Now changing gears a bit. COBOL. What is COBOL, Bart? Maybe let's start there.
COBOL is a programming language that was mainly used on mainframes, not just, but mainly used. I'm quickly looking this up. When was this? It appeared in 1959. The latest version is COBOL 2002, and it's still being used by a lot of typically financial institutions, government institutions, that also often still have a mainframe.
And it's very like, so it's still is it more like a legacy thing, or do they have strengths in like reliability and performance that's why they're still used?
I think it's a whole other topic. There is, I think the main, not necessarily COBOL, but mainframes, and the way there are the system architecture set up is that they are very good at, in a single-threaded way, but at a very high scale, handle financial transactions, so that you're sure that everything happened and only happened once.
Yes, I see. And you see, does or did COBOL default to 1875-0520 for corrupt or missing dates?
Yeah, this is actually like it is a thread on Stack Overflow.
Yes.
And they're asking if COBOL used 1875-05-20 for missing dates. Actually, it links to a thread on Hacker News.
Oh, really?
And I thought it was an interesting thing because because the answer to this is no, because it didn't have a date type structure. Doesn't exist, date types. And what you needed to do with COBOL, and I think a lot of older programming languages, like they were not always the right types in place to do things that we take for granted now, like dates. And so you had to think a bit about a bit like the art of selecting the right type to do what you need to do.
I see.
And what you saw is that a lot of things were very domain specific. So, for example, this organization was created in 1875, and what we're modeling here in this column is like how long have you been saving pension at this organization since that date.
I see.
Right? So for example, you use an integer then, and if you don't fill it in and if it's missing, like it depends on like the like how you should interpret this field. Like maybe it's 1875.
I see.
So it's really a bit more about like thinking, how do we use the types that we have, a limited set of types, to represent a lot of things.
Yeah, I see.
That are in the real world and that are typically today in modern programming language also expressed in more modern type, more complex types.
I see.
And so you had these things where you had this unexpected behavior, like it defaults to a weird date, but it's actually not in COBOL. Like it's more in the logic around it.
I see. So then because I did see 1875 come up a few times, more again on the Musk news, because I'm making sure quickly here. Like Elon Musk claimed that some recipients of Social Security checks are 150 years old, and then someone said about COBOL.
Oh, is it triggered by this? Is it triggered by?
I saw COBOL because of this, because 150 is like it goes exactly to 1875. No.
Okay.
You can do some quick math, but that's what I remember I saw. And then like because it has like the Doge team, right? Like from the government and like the COBOL and all these things. So
Oh, I didn't know that this triggered the whole
that's
discussion.
I saw this on that context.
Okay.
I don't know if it's related or just coincidence, right?
It's
But
probably related then, because it's a very recent thing on
yeah, because someone was saying like
stack exchange.
Elon Musk claimed this, and then someone said, "Oh, maybe they just need to learn COBOL because it defaults to this. So if something is missing, then they just this. That's why it's on 50." Blah, blah, blah. But what you're saying here is like it doesn't really default to 1875. It's just that people were trying to be creative on how to express these things. But then 1875 was a bit like today. COBOL evolved since then, I imagine. Did COBOL today have like date times? Did someone further down the line decided that like 1875? Like
No, but
it's just a bit of an arbitrary thing.
This is just like if this links to that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that someone in that organization that created this mainframe application said we start counting
From
at
1875.
1875, and then if they used an integer, if a value of 1 means 1876,
Yeah, I
the value
see.
of 2 means
I see.
1877,
I see.
and the value of null,
Null
if
is-
you interpret it wrongly, like it just means not. It should mean we don't know.
But some
If you
people think
interpret that
it's zero.
wrongly, like you assume it is 1875.
Yeah. Okay. I see. Interesting. Yeah. Not sure it's connected, but I'm sure that one thing didn't.
Yeah, but that could very well have been the trigger for this strat. Yeah.
Or I think at least didn't. Yeah. Maybe gain more popularity because of it. Right. Now going to something on the other.
There's actually a very cool. I think it's a changelog interview with a professor that is teaching COBOL, and I think I can really recommend it.
I think it's let's see if I can find it.
But I think I want to say it's from 2 years ago or something. But we can maybe try to link it in the show notes.
It's maybe is it this one? Mainframes is still a big thing.
Yeah, it's that one. Yeah,
I'll show it this year.
it's very interesting. Listen.
Yeah, indeed. I remember. Well, I don't remember everything. I remember it was interesting, and I remember that.
Yeah, it's from 2 years ago. It's with they're talking to Professor Cameron Shea. How do you pronounce this?
Alex, I'm looking at you for this. Here. Cameron Shea.
Thank you.
There we
Cameron
go.
Shea. He's a professor at East Carolina University and a member of the governing board of the Open Mainframe Project. So yeah, check it out if you're interested. You can actually run like mainframe in emulators and stuff as well. So it's fun to play around with.
Yeah, I remember it's also like was supervising from this episode as well.
Fun to play around with, and like big career opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
No, honestly, like there's like a very, very, very strong shortage on COBOL developers, while a lot of large institutions still run on COBOL.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what was really surprising to me from that interview is that a lot of people still use COBOL. A lot of people rely, like the world relies on this still.
Yeah.
Like it's really needed. So indeed, if you want to make a lot of money, I think COBOL, and maybe arguably, I don't know how these LLMs do with COBOL.
Well, I would hypothesize pretty bad.
Yeah, that's what I
because there's
hypothesize.
not a lot of COBOL code out there.
Indeed. So if you become a COBOL guru,
Yeah.
you know, you can make a lot of money for sure. A lot of financial institutions that pay really well, I think they use COBOL still, no?
Yeah.
Career tip there. Now, yeah, do we have the money thing, Alex, actually? There we go. Now going to the other end, so something that is not even done yet. Polars Cloud. So Polars is the Rust-based Pandas alternative. I'll just call it like that. So performant and all these things. They started a company, which is Polars Cloud, and they announced that they're building a distributed Polars. I saw this also before from the creator of Polars on LinkedIn, that he made a comment saying we're building distributed Polars, which I thought was really exciting because then I think Polars can be thought of as like a arguably better, but alternative to Dask.
Mhm.
So you can run stuff on your own computer, which is already faster. But then if you have something that is too big for even one computer, even with the things that Polars offer, like streaming and all these things, then you can go distributed. And it's also almost like a guarantee. So if you go to any project, you can say we start with Polar small, but then if we ever get to a point that is too big data, we can still distribute and it's fine. We're going to be fine, right? So Well, I didn't read this thing as thorough. I know it's not finished yet, and here they only showed the Rust API for it. So Polar is written in Rust, but they have a Python API. They thought, yeah, they can do stuff with GPU or CPU. Again, different strategies for distribution that they talk about here. The thing that was not clear to me is that whether this is going to be available as an open source thing or not.
Okay.
So Polar's Cloud is their company. Some people equated this to Modal, so Modal Labs. You remember Modal, Bart?
Mhm.
I think it's. See if I can find it here. Modal. High performance AI infrastructure. The difference is that Polars doesn't have an orchestrator, so Polars is just a compute, at least for now. But if I want to deploy this on my own, I don't know, Kubernetes cluster, if I want to deploy this on my own AWS cluster, could I go for it? Someone and I saw the Richie, so again the creator of Polars, he did mention that he was working on a license that allows you to drop this in your Kubernetes cluster if you want. But it wouldn't be like open source, I think, or I don't know if it would be. I don't know if it'd be source open. But so I think there would be some restrictions, but you would be able to deploy your own Kubernetes infrastructure if you want. Again, I'm not sure. Does this mean for any distributed cluster? Like if I go on AWS and I want to drop something there, like I know in GCP you could do like desk clusters and all these things. Is this something I could do or not? I'm not sure, because again, it is a business, right? So I'm not sure
Let's see.
how this would go. But I do think that, well, I got really excited because that's something that I was really like.
You're a Polars fan, right?
I am a Polars fan. I think I like the API. I mean, yeah, it's fast and all these things, but I think the API is the thing that it's nice. So I got excited about this, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, if this is not available for people to just run, then I'm also a bit less excited. Not to criticize Polars by any means. I know they're a company; they need to make progress, they need to make money. So, but something that came up on my feed and made me raise an eyebrow.
Yeah, interesting to see how they want to roll this out. It mentions cloud, so will it be purely cloud-based? But what about organizations that want to do it more, quote-unquote, on-prem or in their own cloud? Let's see.
Indeed. Let's see. And maybe what else do we have here? Maybe Get Pickle. This is something shared by our good friend and colleague Bato at DataRoots. Make your pickle today. Have you seen this before?
No.
Did you see this? What this is about?
No, I don't know.
So I'm gonna ask you what you think about it. Okay.
Make your pickle today.
Make your pickle today. Replace your camera on Zoom, Twitch, TikTok, and more.
What is the URL that you went to?
Getpickle.ai.
Okay.
That doesn't show, but how this works? How it works? So you record this 5-minute video of yourself, wait 36 hours, and they train an AI for your appearance. And then when you are using Zoom or something, you can change your camera and you can put a pickle camera. And then basically it will use that AI avatar that you have, and then on real time as you talk, it will make the avatar like still you behind the scenes, right? But in the video, it will show the avatar that will be lip syncing what you're saying.
So you can lay down in bed or sit on the toilet?
Exactly. So for me, that was a bit, I mean, that's a bit like even on the third step here, talk, right? They're showing someone that is driving, which I also don't think that's a marketing move. I'm not sure if that's the best. I don't know. And the person is driving, and then on the video, it actually shows the person, like the avatar talking as if it's sitting on the living room or something. What do you hear? What do you think about this? They're just
This feels a bit dystopian future.
yeah, right.
Like no one talks to anyone real anymore.
But to me, it's like, so I feel like the use cases is what, like, yeah, you're on your bed, you're driving, I guess, from what you're showing here, or maybe you're having a meeting and you want to go for a walk because it's a nice day out.
And like the next step is that like you don't respond yourself, you have an LLM respond, right?
That's what I thought it was at first, but I was like, this is a bit.
But yeah, it's not a big step from there, huh?
Yeah, that's true. But I think, yeah, indeed. I thought it was going to be more like, at first I thought you could have these agents, you can have being 5 calls at the same time with all the agents talking for you. I also feel like this is a bit misses the point, because I think if if you want to be driving, if you want to be in your room, if you want to be going for a walk, and you want to have a meeting, then I think we should normalize that instead of creating an AI avatar so you can get away with it. I feel like there's a bit of a dishonesty in this. I feel like if you're having a call from your couch and you think it's not a big deal, then you should be able to have a call from your couch. You shouldn't have to cover it up. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm wondering what the business model is behind this, because I can imagine that this requires a lot of capital to do all this inference in real time.
Yeah, true. I'm not sure what this just says. Join Pickle now. I did look for pricing, but I couldn't find anything. So maybe everything's paid, right? Yeah, I'm not sure. I understand why they did it, but I feel like it misses the point a bit. It's like maybe we should all just work as a society to normalize having calls from when you go for a walk, for example, or not have your camera on if you cannot really, right? I just feel like this creates a bit of a...
Yeah, it's weird. So how would you do it? Like, what is your preferred setting to become your avatar?
To become my avatar? No, I wouldn't use an avatar, but I do think it's like, I do see like maybe you want to go for a walk and you have a call and you want to just have the walk while you have the call. For me, I think depending on the type of meeting you're having, that's fine. Right?
And then the idea is that you have an avatar that...
Yeah, but then I think for me, it's like, no.
But you're saying you wouldn't use it.
I wouldn't use it. That's the thing. Because it's like, even if I was using the avatar, I feel like I still say, oh yeah, I'm going for a walk. So I'm just letting you know. So, like you still see the avatar, but you still know that I'm not there. Because I feel like this is just weird. I just don't see I don't see myself ever using it. Would you ever use this?
I hope not.
What about you, Alex?
I don't think so, but I also said that it's used for TikTok. So does that mean that people would just put a video like
I have
themselves?
no idea.
I don't know how that would work either.
Like you just doing a lecture on TikTok.
Yeah, and then you don't have to sit in front of the camera. You just let your avatar do it.
Yeah, I have no idea. I really don't understand. I mean, it's a cool idea, but I don't see I wouldn't make a product. Like, this is like the kind of thing that it could be fun to just build and show people, but I wouldn't build a product around it. I just feel like
I do see potentially students using it. Like if...
But I feel like it's a bit, I see people using it, but I feel like there's no way you can justify using this. I feel like you're being dishonest, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. But you see the reviews are here, like, try yourself. I was able to take walks during meetings. This is a game changer AI. Remote work will never be the same. I thought it was a bit much. Another thing that I thought, so changing a bit the subject, and this is a very big change, but I was just looking at these reviews. There was, what new brutalism is? Do you know what this is, Bart? New brutalism.
New brutalism.
New brutalism. Neo.
It's a design style, yeah?
Yes. Do you know what this is, Alex? Alex knows. How would you describe it, Alex?
Well, a while back, I was trying to find what the style was, and it's neo-brutalism. It's like I don't know if you're going to show it on
I'll
screen.
put it there. There we go. Huh. Yeah?
Yeah.
So how would you describe this for people that are just listening?
You've opened a page.
No, but like what is it?
That has like components. I would assume like React components in neo brutalism style.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like in the style, it's like round shapes, plain colors.
Yeah, but like I have a hard time explaining it. But it's like a bit retro modern combination.
It's like nothing like 3D, nothing like
thick outlines, drop shadows, but not transparent drop shadows, like black drop shadows.
Yeah, indeed. It's not like trying to pretend like it's real. It's like really like a retro kind of drawn kind of thing with like colors that stand out.
What is it what you're showing? It's like these are React components, or?
Yeah, these are React components that you can based on ShadCN.
ShadCN. Yeah.
So yeah, it's made with Tailwind and all these things. I believe it's React, but I just wanted to share because I thought it was so funny. They had loved by our community, and they have this library is a complete garbage. I don't believe there are people who actually use this. This theme frankly sucks. I want to vomit. So I just thought it was like
they really picked.
I thought Material UI was the worst looking UI library. Ha ha ha! All caps. Imagine using this. They just put it there. I thought it was pretty cool. So yeah, and then they have a whole bunch like accordion, how pre-built components. So I think chatcn or chatcdn. I don't know if it's a basically like you copy paste stuff into your code, right? So that's the way you can do this and use this tailwind. So you can get a lot of cool stuff here. So I thought it was nice.
I think the people that live a bit in the same bubble that we do, they will know it from the ModelDuck website.
Yes, indeed. But
This
I thought,
kind of style.
indeed, I thought,
And
I
think
it's
it was
nice.
quite popular in the last 2 to 3 years, but I think it's also like the world has passed on.
Yeah, but everything comes and goes, right?
I think comes and goes. So we wait 20 more years.
Indeed.
Back.
Or maybe you're super ahead, you know, instead of being
Yeah.
like, you're just like really, really, really ahead. Who knows? Okay. How much time do we have? We have time for a few more. So, food for thought. Vim after Bram, core maintainer and how they've kept it going. Tell me more about this, Bart.
Do you know Vim?
I know Vim. I struggled with Vim a bit. I've had people trying to convince me to use Vim inside VS Code, but they failed to convince me fully. So Vim, what is?
Okay. So you used VS Code first, and then Vim came.
No, I mean, I kind of use it to get like actually I started with PyCharm, right? But then you can use Vim bindings within VS Code, and they were like, yeah, you look how cool Vim is. You can do this and you can do that.
But you're not a Vim user now.
No. I mean, only when I commit and I have the message, and then I use Vim because it's on the terminal and I just use it. But I'm not more efficient with Vim in any case.
Vim is Vim is an improved version of VI.
VI, yeah.
VI, and VI, I think, well, I want to say it stands for Visual Editor, but that would be weird, right? Yeah, you're Googling it?
Yes, I'm Googling it.
And I think Vim stands for Visual Editor Improved, but you're Googling what the I is.
Yeah, so the name VI, so this is from Wikipedia, I guess, is derived from the shortest unambiguous abbreviation for the command visual in EX. The command in question switches.
Oh, so it's VI just stands for visual, visual text editor. Yeah. And Vim stands for Vi Improved. That's them.
Vi Improved. Yeah, I see.
The Vim was created, I want to say late 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
I'm not sure, to be honest. Yeah, 1991. Oh, wow, that's good.
Yeah.
By Bram Molenaar, Dutch software engineer.
Another Dutch, huh?
Yeah.
A lot of Dutch people.
A lot of Dutch people. And he unfortunately passed away recently. And the Vim project is used by a lot of people.
There's also new Vim nowadays, no?
There's also new Vim. But typically if you're not an IDE user, if you're more of an editor in the terminal user, you're either a Vim fan or an Emacs fan.
Yeah.
It's a bit how the world is split, right?
That's one way to split it.
And I understand where you're coming from. Like you're not more productive through Vim bindings because you never used Vim.
So maybe,
terminal, right?
Yeah, for people that never used Vim before, right? Like you have the ASDF, I think keys, or right? Like, or maybe not. But basically, like the going up, down arrow to quit, you have to put like semicolon a command. Delete a word is D to go append and all these things. So it's like.
But I think if you learned to use these editors like before you had a visual interface, like, and if you knew all these key bindings, you can be super efficient.
Yeah, there are people that are super fast.
People that come from that background and now are in VS Code or in PyCharm that use these bindings, they can be very efficient. Yeah. But anyway, there is definitely an audience for this. And the challenge when the core developer Bram Molenaar passed away is like, how do you keep this going? And the article, I think, is a nice read. I think you should read up on it. But it touches on a few key points. Like there is a way in GitHub to define like who inherits this code base when you pass away.
Ah, really?
But he didn't use it because it also implies that your account needs to go inactive.
Mm.
And what I think the community wanted, not necessarily him, not sure on the background, is that his family would still have access to the code base, like active access. He was also, he's been since that he started, he's been the BTFL, the benevolent dictator for life.
Yes.
Very well respected. And there were also like these type of things, like you had this new core maintainer coming in that really wanted to pick it up. I forgot the name. I read the article this morning. Maybe you can, it's at the beginning of the article. That is now picking it up, and it's basically from a Christian Brabant.
Is he Dutch as well?
I don't know.
No.
And he explains a bit, like he tried to take it over, and he did take it over as like he's, I think, the new core maintainer. And there were a number of challenges, like for example, Vim, like it received donations for a specific non-profit in the Netherlands that he wants to keep going. Like, but how do you do this? Because this person that was the admin to all this like is no longer there. Like, you need to clarify like what was the procedure. You can also use these donations to basically vote for new features. Like if you do a big donation with this feature, but it was very hard for him to link these together, like the votes and also like. There was at the same time another core maintainer left the project, so he also had to bring in new people. I had to basically align with the family of Bram Molenaar to see like what can I do, and
I see.
It's a very interesting read on a project where I think a lot of people think like, okay, there's a lot of commits, but what happens when this benevolent dictator for life is suddenly gone?
Yeah.
And what we see now is basically that there is still a lot of activity on the Vim repository, and that's, I think, being optimistic here, like this is not the end for Vim. Like this was a phase for Vim.
Yeah, I agree.
Which I think is also nice towards Bram Molenaar's legacy. Right?
Yeah, for
this
sure.
This is a continuation of what he has built with his community.
Indeed, I think it's indeed, it's his legacy. I think most open source maintainers would be very happy to see that their projects kept on. Right.
He also has some like skeletons in the closet. Like he found out that the website was running on like a super old PHP version. And like some files were hosted on a very old FTP server, and they had to negotiate with the organization behind it, like how do we handle this? And in the end, like I think he just switched to GitHub downloads. But like these things, like everybody worries, like, okay, this is my project, I need to hand this over. Okay, what are they going to think about this small thing that I just neglected for the last 10 years?
That would have been a shame, right?
Yeah, like, exactly.
I was on the rush and it worked. So that's nice. It's a bit it's a nice
it's a nice read. Like it's a
nice read. Yeah, I think it's sad that he passed away, of course, but I think it's a nice like bigger than tech, like you know. How everything comes together, because in the end of the day, it's people, right? Like I think we talk a lot about tech, but in the end, it's people. Very nice. And Vim, a lot of people love Vim. I'm not super proficient, but I know people that are super. I do use Vim, by the way.
When I don't have access to a visual environment, I use Vim.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. But like if you have a VS Code, would you use Vim?
No. But I used to like. Back in the day when I was not on a Mac, I was always on a Linux, and then
just use Vim all the way.
Vim,
Vim is I know a lot of people that are very efficient with it, and it's impressive. I think it's nice. It's a good project as well. Definitely. It's well thought out. Maybe on that note as well, for people that do want to learn Vim, one thing that I came across is this Vim Adventures. So basically, have you seen this part? Yeah. So it's like you have a little character, and then it kind of teaches you how to use Vim's
key bindings, basically.
Yeah, indeed, the key bindings. So for example, in Vim, if you want to delete a word, you can combine commands, right? Like, so for people that want to try it out, we'll put on the show notes. Do we have time for one more, Bart?
I think we do.
Maybe one more. So maybe just go for this, working fast and slow. This is something that I read a little while ago, and I felt seen, you know? I think that working fast is slow. It's a bit of a wordplay with that book, you know. I think it's Thinking Fast and Slow. I haven't read the book, so I cannot comment. But this post I read through. I'll summarize a bit. He mentions that he's someone that he can be very productive at times. So some days he can sit down and focus and gets a lot of shit done. But then there are days that he can't be bothered. right? And I'm maybe mixing things a bit because I also listened to a podcast that was an interview, the guy that was advocating about for ADHD and all these things. I also felt a bit seen. I'm not sure if I have really ADHD, but I do have some things, some traits that I really felt seen. That basically, like, if you can focus a lot one day and then the next 2 days you cannot focus, because in software engineering you have the stand-ups and all these things, and you usually talk about the progress you had on the past days. If you're very productive on day 1 but you're not productive on day 2 and 3, you really just look like someone that is just slacking off. Like, you can be very efficient, but you just choose not to because you're lazy, right? And I think it's like what he says also in this article is that he really he had a lot of resistance towards this, but now he kind of learned to kind of go with it. You know, he understands that some days his battery is low and he knows he's going to make up the next day, and he needs to really, like, he organized a bit more his work, his tasks, and his schedule based on how he's feeling that day. And it's fine, right? And that's why I feel like I felt seen, right? Because I also have these things that sometimes, like, I can't be bothered, but then there are some days that things just flow, you know, like I'm really, maybe it's the environment as well, you know, maybe there's some days more quiet and all these things, but sometimes, like, I just feel like I'm the zone, and some days I really struggle, right? Maybe do you have this as well, Bart, or is this something do you relate to this as well?
I relate to it as well. But I try to fight it.
You try to fight it.
Yeah.
I think he maybe, and again, that's not something I do, but one thing that the author here does, he says that when he is in the zone, he also leans into it. So, like, if he stays up later, he just does it as well.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah, so he really, like, he really doesn't hold back, basically, right? I still try to have a bit of a balance, and I still resist a bit, but I also feel like I'm more forgiving to myself. If one day I feel like I'm not very focused, and I know I can, like, he also says sometimes there are deadlines, so sometimes you have to power through.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Right? But I'm also a bit more forgiving, you know, like, or even sometimes I'm a bit stuck, and then I just go for a walk, you know, like I cannot focus on something. Okay, maybe just go for a walk, or maybe you're feeling very tired. Maybe if you're working from home, take a 10-minute nap, you know, and then sometimes you feel much better afterwards. And I think over time I'm trying to re-educate myself to be a bit more understanding, and also, as long as I have my commitments, you know, like, as I have, like, I still try to keep a grasp on the long term, right? Like, how are we progressing on these things? But I guess it's just more forgiving in a way, you know, like, I understand that's how I work and all these things. What do you think, Alex?
I was just gonna say, he also mentions, because I read it too.
You read this?
Yeah, because I found it interesting.
Oh, okay.
That he will work on the more low priority tasks when he isn't feeling as, I don't know, productive. So I understand that. So then we'll put the focus on that. And then when he has the time and the energy, he'll work, like you said, he'll be in the flow for a long period of time, and he'll work over like 12 hours. So he does make up for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I understand that being in the flow, I feel like the quality of the work will also be better. So instead of forcing yourself to do it when you don't feel like it, then you just focus on the easier tasks, and then you go into the...
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, he
sense.
really leans into it, right?
Yeah.
And I think for me, and I think that's also, very well put, that if you don't feel like it, maybe you'll have to book some meetings or send some emails, like something that is more like grunt work that you just do, right? And it's fine. Like, there's no, like, such a thing as well, maybe there always is, but low quality and high quality throughput, you know, if you have to book a meeting, you just book a meeting, you find a date, you know, you put a description. It's not like it needs to be top notch. So also playing a bit with it. I also did it also, I'm thinking, when I was commuting to my client. So on the train, if I had to send a quick message, or if I had to book a meeting, all these things, these small tasks, I also try to take advantage of these things. So I think it was also a nice way to kind of reflect a bit, like, to try to schedule the tasks that you have from work based on how you're feeling, to, like, basically be more harmony with your
Because you can't be 100% every single day.
No, that's true.
Indeed. And also, even like in that of being in harmony with your biological, I don't know, state. Also, even for me, like, booking meetings, it's better for me to book meetings in the morning or in the afternoon. Do I have, like, you know, what do you prefer? Like, and I think that's also something I thought a lot about. And I go back and forth a bit. Like, I don't have a best strategy, but it is something that I also think about. So, yeah.
Cool.
Do you do that, Alex, as well?
Yeah. I definitely separate, like, depending on how I feel. I usually try to do the harder tasks earlier in the morning because I'm more focused. And then obviously as the day goes on,
Yeah.
kind of get more tired.
But I think for you as well,
Mhm.
I think there's also a big distinction on like creative tasks
Yeah.
and also more operational tasks, let's call it, because I also, and I was talking to my wife about it as well, how I do think that for creative tasks you need more time, you need more mental space. I think I remember we talked about this even for the podcast, right? Like if you book this at 3 p.m. on a Wednesday and you have meetings before, you have meetings after, like your mind needs to be in a certain state to be able to, like take a breather, like, and I think there's also a difference on the tasks in that sense, right? Like I think if you're designing something, you have something creative, you cannot be rushed, right?
But for me, like designing anything like that, that's actually my last task because it's
Easy.
easy, right? But if I have to think of an idea or something, that's really the first to do on
Something
my
new,
list. Yeah.
But I think
or research. If I have to research something, I really put that as my first task.
Interesting.
So
Do you have
yeah.
do you have something like this as well? You just do stuff. I'm just a machine. I don't. I just do it. Just get it done.
No, I don't just get it done, but depends a bit on the type of task. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if there's something very new, like you
Mhm.
need to create something that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
I tend to need a bit of headspace for it. But for other things, I kind of force myself. So I agree, like with the podcast, like preparation, like you need to be in a certain state, but I think you can, like for me at least, I think I can force it. Like you just say, okay, now I start, even though you don't like to do it, but then like if you focus on it for half an hour, like you're in that. I get into the right mindset. Let's put it like that. I don't always like to do it.
Yeah.
A lot of the, let's say, quote unquote programming projects I do are for me in the evening hours. And often don't feel like, okay, let's spend another 3 hours.
Yeah.
Because I'm tired, right? Then I say, okay, well, let's just do it. And like after some time, I get it in a certain flow, and it still works.
Yeah, I think. Well, I don't know if I know I kind of relate to what you're saying. I don't think I'm like you in that sense, but I do think that sometimes if you just start doing something, you just get into it, right? Like I think in the beginning, I don't know. For me, sometimes I don't know.
I think it's a personal thing, right? Like it doesn't.
Yeah, but I wish I could be. I think it's good.
But like you need to get to that. Like, okay, now I'm just gonna do it. I don't always get there.
Kind
right?
of like going to the gym. Just
yeah, but that's what I was thinking. Like sometimes it's like I don't want to go to the gym, but like I just hop on my bike and I just go. And when I'm there, like you kind of get through it and you go.
I think on a lot of projects, just like you need to put in the hours, and some of those hours will be super productive, and some will be super shitty when it comes to productiveness. But you need to show up.
Also, I noticed for myself, I don't know if this is for other creative people, but the nighttime, I get so creative. I get all my thoughts at night.
Yeah.
And so if I have to work on something, like, I don't know, I get my ideas at night, like right before I sleep, which is probably not good because then it.
Yeah.
But
I used to have like sometimes, like not now, well, sometimes now, but like I'll have an idea right before going to bed, and I would be afraid that I would forget it by the time I wake up. So then I would
have a notebook right now.
You have a notebook, yeah. But actually, notebook is good because sometimes I would try to get on my phone and do stuff, but then like it messes up my sleep as well.
I sometimes wake up and I think I have an idea and I think, oh wow, you really, this is smart. This is smart.
And you write it down the next morning.
I wake up and it's gone.
Oh really?
It's gone.
Or like when you grab a few beers, when you're like, this idea is great, yeah. And then you write it down. The next day you wake up, you're like, what the fuck? Like this is so stupid. Like this is horrible. Yeah. I wonder if for you, like as you mentioned, creative stuff before bed, and sometimes when you're a bit tired, it's almost like you're a bit tipsy, like you just kind of,
the filter's gone.
Yeah. Well, I read one time too that I don't know if I read it or I saw somewhere. The creativity is like coming up with ideas. So there's like the just comes up with stuff, but then there's also the filtering of ideas. So for example, kids, you can say they have a lot of ideas, but a lot of them are bad ideas. But to come up with good stuff, you have to have a bit of both, like you have to have the time that you just say a lot of crazy, outrageous stuff, and then to yourself you say, but these three are good ideas, right? So maybe when you're in that state of like a bit tired, a bit like, just say stuff. Exactly, just pick and nitpick those things. Cool. Very, very cool. And I think we can call it a pod here today. Anything else you want to share?
Maybe the last thing I thought that was interesting. It's the last point on our agenda is from fly.io. They released a an article 2 days ago titled "We Were Wrong About GPUs."
Oof. Is that a hot take? Do we have the hot?
Oh, hot.
Well, unless they're saying that they're wrong and meaning that they thought it
I
was.
don't think it's really a hot take.
Okay, I just
But
wanted to use it.
the article is interesting. Is just you read it. They basically invested a lot in both hardware, but also the building the software to make it work, so that you can have Fly GPU machines. So for the people that don't know Fly, it's very easy to spin up a virtual machine with your web app, whatever workload it is, and have it go live. Right? Fly.io makes it very easy for developers. They also now created GPU Fly machines where you basically have access to a GPU. And what they realize is that their typical type of developer that uses Fly.io doesn't really care about GPUs. People care about having access to LLMs these days, and you have like, I don't know, maybe I'm being generous here, but like 5 to 10 major providers.
Yeah.
And you want easy access to that. And at the other extreme, but I think that's not the typical audience for Fly.io, you have these people that want to run heavy GPU loads, but actually the type of GPUs that they're really invested in aren't really suited for that.
Ah, I see.
So they basically made a bit of a bad gamble.
Yeah.
It's not that it's going away, but they're realizing this and they're seeing like how should we shape the future going forward.
But I also think it's just like, I think it's uninteresting. But I think the fact that they as a company are putting this forward, I also think it's nice.
Yeah, like we made a mistake.
Indeed, like
Yeah.
we gambled this, and I think it's also been normalized as like, yeah, you have to make decisions. Sometimes you're wrong, and this is something we're wrong. Also sharing knowledge with the community as well. I also think it's really nice.
Yeah.
I like Fly as well as a product as well. I used it a bit, and it is very smooth.
Yeah, it's very easy to use. Yeah.
Very cool. Cool. Anything else you want to share, Alex?
No.
All right, then I think we can call it a pod. Thanks
Thanks for listening, everyone.
everyone for listening. Yeah.
You have taste in a way that's meaningful to software people.
Hello, I'm Bill Gates.
I would recommend TypeScript. Yeah, it writes
I thought
a
at first
lot
it was
of
going to
code
be like
for me.
GPUs
and
are not the
usually
future.
it's slightly wrong.
I'm reminded, incidentally, of Rust here.
Thus,
Rush.
this almost makes me happy that I didn't become a supermodel.
Tuber and Nex.
Boy, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today about large neural networks. It's really an honor to be here.
Rust.
Data topics.
Welcome to the data.
Welcome to the Data Topics podcast.